Russell Brand talks about in his book Recovery about how like these low level addictions like the porn and the food and the booze and stuff, they're actually like, well, booze isn't one of them, but they're actually like more difficult in a way to kick than heroin because they're socially accepted and because they're so readily available, and there isn't as much stigma around them, such as, you know, versus like heroin. It's like there's avenues for that, there's channels for that. Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're really having trouble with alcohol, there's channels for that, although that's one that's also quite accepted. But porn addiction, nobody's talking about it. Where do you look it up? You know, it's...
Oh, you just opened up another can of worms, which is the common excuse that in reading discussion forums, men in the group would give to their partner or even themselves if they're not in a relationship, was that everybody's doing it. Okay, let's start with that. Just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean that it's good. Okay, everybody's driving around drunk. Well, just that doesn't make it justifiable for you to do it. That's not good. So the whole concept of like every guy does it, get used to it, is like such a denial rebuttal to a partner that's trying to get deeper into why the sexual issues are there. So that is a very frustrating stance. And I'm bought into that too. Like, oh, instead of actually looking at it internally and what is this doing to me? Instead of just saying, well, every guy does it, get used to it. That's such a cowardly thing to pull out. And again, coming from a place of denial and fear that this might actually be causing dysfunction in my sex life.
Yeah, I've seen guys like step around that that excuse with just radical honesty about themselves. It's like, am I really, you know, is this really not affecting my life? No, it is. I do feel less motivated to have sex with my partner. I do feel like less excited about getting by touch than I do about a screen. I do feel like the variety of porn, just being able to flip between different types of scenarios and types of women and types of whatever, that's not making my own relationship, my own sex life any more exciting. Like if you're actually honest with yourself, it's having an impact. So the radical self-honesty is the getting real, as 50 Cent talks about it in his book, you know, 50th Law. It's like getting real. You got to be real with yourself. And I think a lot of guys are hiding behind lame ass excuses like that.
And unfortunately, we see it, that it takes a relationship to end. That was my scenario. It takes a relationship to end for you to actually look at this deep down and go, is this serving the purpose to better myself and better my sex life? Okay, it's not. Time to look into it with a microscope and go, oh, okay. And then to go back into your sexual experiences and see if it's shown up anywhere else, because it could be the common denominator is that you've watched porn throughout that period of time. And yeah, like I chuckle at the ED commercials. Okay, sure, I understand there's legit ED. You're getting old, maybe things aren't working, maybe there's some anxiety around sex, and but you know, more often than not. And I believe that, yeah, ED is just a mask for digging into these things. And that's another problem in itself too. So yeah, that's anytime a guy will, in one of our groups, talk about ED issues, I ask him first question, can I ask you a question straight up? Sure. Yeah. Okay. What's your history with porn? Just to put that on the table, because a lot of guys don't put that on the table because there's not been a lot of research out there, or they won't even tie two to two together, right? So
I just hope that some guys out there listening right now, and he doesn't need the jolt, which is the dramatic end of the relationship, the car crash that actually makes people look at themselves introspectively to get real. You know, like you can do that now without having to go through what Jordan's been through or what I've been through, which is, you know, relationship conflict and relationships ending as a result of that stuff.